Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Talent Show, where you will meet the people that power TTEC. I'm Rebecca, and will be your host for today's show. We're so glad you're here because we're beginning the month with a celebration, of course. It's Neurodiversity Month. And did you know that 15 to 20% of the global population is considered neurodivergent? And really, what does that term mean? Despite this significant amount of people might not understand what it means or how it can positively impact teams. So today we aim to change that. And we have brought on the perfect guest to do that. And his name is Mark Linsdale. He's going to help us imagine a workplace where everyone's playing to their strength. He's going to help us picture teams where people are thriving with their creativity and their problem solving, and help us understand how when we broaden our own perspectives, we'll become more engaged, more open-minded, creative, innovative, all the good things. So before we meet Mark, though, we want to meet you. So please let us know where you're joining us from today, wherever you are in the world. It's a great opportunity. We're a global company. We love to get to know people from around the world. So please drop in the chat where you're joining us from today, and let us know throughout the chat if you want to connect and meet with other people from around the world. We'd love to meet with you. Hey, Dora from Athens. See, we're getting the global party started already. We'd also like to make sure that we do have a question that we'll have midway through the chat. We'd love to hear your perspective as well. So today's guest is going to share some inspiring stories with us and some actionable, practical advice that we can all apply in our work lives. Mark Linsdale is the SVP of Operations, and he's our executive sponsor of our employee resource group for the neurodiverse community, TTEC Minds. He's going to share his journey in the customer experience industry and, of course, how neurodiversity has personally impacted him and how we can all become better champions of the community in our workplaces. So let's meet Mark. Hello, Mark. How are you doing today?
Hey there, how are you? I'm well, thank you.
Good. I see you're in Denver, so you're joining the Denver office today. Are you traveling there for a couple of days?
Yeah, no, so I actually live in Castle Rock, so just about 30 minutes south of our Denver office.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Welcome. And also just want to give a shout out to some people in the chat. Carlos is joining us from Mexico, Susie from Northern Ireland, Lena from Bogota, Colombia, Arun is also saying hi, Llewellyn from Cape Town, South Africa. So we definitely have the global party joining us here today. And thanks, everyone. I know you're going to be inspired and learn a lot from Mark. So Mark, I know we had a fabulous meet and greet, and I learned so much just from talking with you in that short time frame. So I know today there's going to be some amazing stories that you're going to share with people. So, but first, let's just get to the origin story. How did you get into customer experience in the first place? And then we'll jump in from there.
Sure, sounds good. Well, um, let's just start with the fact that, where is my accent from? I ask this question a lot to folks, particularly in the US, and for some reason they all think I sound Australian. But I'm not. I'm from Britain. um, and I guess like my story starts when I was about 16 and I left school and I went in the British Army. So didn't go to college, didn't go to university. I actually spent a couple of years in the Royal Corps Signals, where I learned a trade, and then left and joined a small entrepreneur telecommunications company in the UK, where I got a lot of work experience at a very young age, eventually getting into contact centers, call centers, probably in the mid 1990s, and developed my career fundamentally from there. I worked both client side and I worked what we might call BPO side at various points during my 20s and my 30s. And then I got an opportunity with a UK organization I was working with at the time to go and visit the Philippines as a client. So that was about 2007, 2008. And fast forward, I got an opportunity to actually go and work for one of my outsourced suppliers, actually in the Philippines, around the middle of 2009. At the time, I was single, no kids, no real sort of nothing to hold me back, let's put it that way, in the UK. And so literally 2 suitcases and an economy class one-way ticket to Manila. And I was on my way in September 2009. And it's kind of an interesting little story that I like to tell people because it actually sort of also sort of represents how I feel about this industry, and having spent now time living in Europe, Asia, and now the US. But 2 weeks or 3 weeks into my first month in Manila, working for a BPO, a typhoon, super typhoon Ondoy hit, and I was holed up in a hotel at the time. I was looking for accommodation, and I got a call from my boss back then, and he said, "Can you get down to our site? Because nobody can get there." And I literally got a taxi and then walked through floodwater to the site, and found literally people wading through chest height water just to get to our site in order to uh, be able to uh, answer calls, answer queries from customers all over the world. And it was a moment of realization to me what this industry means to other people, certainly in different parts of the world, and actually what it means to be a leader, and how you need to show up every day to care for the people that actually make our money, make our business what it is. Um, and I go further, really, when I think about this industry, and one of the reasons why I've been in it for well over 30 years and why I'm addicted to it, if I'm honest, it's because it gives opportunity. People like me and others that didn't go to college, didn't go to university, are able to develop a career, and a career that literally can take you all around the world, and a career that gives you access not to just amazing people, but to incredible brands, and the ability to see under the hood as to how other businesses operate, just in a way that you just don't get in many other industries. And so that's, I've been very, very fortunate, and I'm delighted that I'm here today, honestly, being able to share this story. But I think that this is a unique industry, and it's one of the reasons why I've stuck at it. It's one of the reasons why I've moved to the US, and it's one of the reasons why I moved to TTEC. Yeah,
So much there. You've got this one-way ticket to the Philippines in the middle of a natural disaster, and you're right, that's where you learn about resiliency and leadership and caring for other people and for each other. So we could probably do a whole episode just on that experience alone. Although you did just say it brought you to TTEC. So tell us a little bit about what you do here, and then we'll jump into the executive sponsorship side of what you do here.
sure. So I joined TTEC in July of last year. Initially just to run a delivery for North America, but that role's expanded over a relatively short period of time. I now have the privilege to support all of our delivery operations out of the Americas. So that's everything in the US, Canada, Colombia, Mexico, Honduras, and Brazil. Um, and that also includes work at home. So, and not just for the Americas. So TTEC's got a great sort of history from a work at home standpoint. And obviously we leveraged that extensively during the pandemic, but we're looking as an organization to sort of leverage that even more as we develop the business moving forward. So I've also got that as a key focus right now. But the main sort of thrust of my role is to support all of our delivery teams across the Americas today. Yeah.
So that's a lot, and that's amazing, and yet there is this executive sponsorship. You joined in July, I
Yeah.
think fairly quickly became an executive sponsor of TTEC Minds, and
Yeah.
so if you could take us a little bit into your connection with the neurodiversity community and why it's important to you.
Yeah, I always, this is very personal. Try not to get emotional. The other day when we talked, but it comes to me sort of my passion and my support of this community really starts from my mum. My mum left school, or well, she left school at 15 years of age. It was told that she was stupid, that she was thick. Um, she wasn't. She was far from it. She was a very, very, very smart, talented person, but only learnt in her 40s that she was dyslexic. A ferocious reader, um, incredibly artistic, um, somebody that was very. She was fierce and brave, into politics. Um, but imagine that, 15 years of age, being told that you're stupid. Um, 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 and that left clearly a lasting impression on me until I met my wife. And see, straight away I get emotional. My wife and my son, um, Vin Diesel. Believe it or not, my son's name is Vin Diesel.
Oh.
Um, um, and my wife clearly has a thing for bald men.
So if you have another one named The Rock, we'll really know, right?
Right. So so yeah. So he was about six. Vin Diesel was about 6 years of age when he came into my life, and was constantly getting in trouble at school. Constantly getting in trouble at school. I couldn't work it out. I mean, this kid that I saw, you know, um, you know, bounding around, just being a normal kid, be getting into the level of trouble he was, I really couldn't figure it out. And then bit by bit, it started to dawn on me. I remember one day I was sat in my kitchen trying to sort of teach him math, and I was using every sort of physical sort of object that I could to sort of just do basics. I was cutting up apples, I was cutting up oranges, like literally I had post-it notes all over the kitchen of different things, just trying to do things imaginatively to get into to to just for some things to stick. And it was the weirdest thing. I'd be sat there and I'd be like, he's got it. My son's got it. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, it was gone in a flash. And I'm like, something is different here. And I remember working it through with my wife, um, because she immediately thought that she'd done something wrong, and she hadn't. um, we figured out very quickly that he was dyslexic. He had other learning challenges, and as he's got older, he's developed ADD as well. I remember, like with him as a little boy, saying to him, that you're not less than anybody else. You're just different. I used to say to him, like, most people have got Microsoft operating systems, and you've got a Mac OS, and it does exactly the same thing. It just looks a bit different. Yeah, the GUI is a bit different, and um, I think you can tell it means a lot. Um, even now, he's 21 years of age, and I love him with all my heart. But it's a struggle for him. I think he's lost 6 jobs in the last 12 months. And one of the things as a leader, this is one of the things I want to try and get across to people. I learned as a young leader very, very early on that the worst thing I could do is hire people that look like me, that sound like me, that act like me. For me to build amazing teams, and I've built some amazing teams over the years. I don't want to sound egotistical when I say that, but I have. I've done that because I've looked for people that are different, that don't necessarily think like me or act like me, that actually take problems and look at them a different way. And often, when as leaders, people come to us with a different point of view, there's a tendency for many leaders to go away, I don't want to listen to you, right? But actually, when you take the time and you take the time to listen, there's something there. There can be nuggets of gold which can help an organization transform. And and frankly, quite honestly, and it's not just my son and my mother, I've worked with people, some amazing people over several, like the last 2 or 3 decades, some of whom didn't know, for example, they had ADD until just a few years ago, or ADHD until a few years ago. And oddly enough, then there's one guy in particular who's a really good friend of mine from the UK who I knew was different. I knew that he thought differently, just the way in which he'd show up. And you know what? A brilliant mind, and somebody that I loved working with, and actually helped my organization that I was with at the time overcome tremendous difficulties because he looked at things from a different point of view. And I think that's one of the things, my personal story aside, um, and as you can see, I've now calmed down. My personal story aside, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this is because actually we need different points of views in our organization in order for this amazing business, which is TTEC, to continue to thrive and to flourish. So
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Mark, for sharing the story. It highlights that you had this experience with your mother. You knew things, then you had this experience with Van Diesel, and so it's important for all of us to learn because even if we're not part of the neurodiverse community ourselves, we probably have interactions with people in our personal lives, in our work lives. And so you're just really helping us to highlight that this is really important to lean in and understand, because if 1 in 5 people have it, imagine the number of us that are interacting with the group. And truly, until TTEC Minds a few years ago became a part of our employee resource groups, I wasn't very aware of this community either. And you're going to hear some questions where I'm asking for a friend, right? And I know it's going to benefit me too along the way. So thank you for being vulnerable, for sharing your story. I know that everybody who's tuning in and listening can probably relate in one way or another. So thank you for sharing that. And I did also just want to go back to the comments real quick, because we have some team members from the Philippines who and audience members who mentioned that Filipinos are incredibly dedicated workers. We show up no matter what, even during a storm, wading through the water, as you experienced too, Mark. And Ika's also tuning in from the Philippines. David is from Sofia, and is Italian, and tomorrow will be your first day. So welcome to TTEC. We're glad that you're going to be a part of our Bulgarian team. And Lena also, I'm not sure at what point, but she said, what a wise thought, because I think many things that you were just sharing about how we can diversify our teams with people who think differently is really great. So one of the things that we have several values here at TTEC, and I know during our meet and greet, we talked about the value of seek to understand.
yeah.
And so how could we leverage that more here, and whether you're a part of TTEC or you want to be a part of TTEC, to really help better support and engage and create these powerful teams that you're talking about?
Yeah, look, I think it's one value. There's lots of good values actually. I think that sit behind you and actually within TTEC. but I do think seek first to understand to me is one that resonates, because I think as human beings we tend to have this sort of, dare I say, like an unconscious reaction. You know, we sort of there's a, I don't know, it's like a immediate sort of response that we have to being challenged, to topics that either we feel that we're expert on, or like we don't want to hear about. It's the weirdest thing, and you know, um, we definitely see it in our personal lives. You know, or just go away. I don't want to hear that problem right now. Yeah. And certainly within in work, it is something that is all too common, whereby um, people have already made a conclusion before actually listening to the evidence. And frankly, when we do that, we have the potential to make mistakes, um, to really miss something crucial. And you know, I'm the first to admit that this is something that I have to work at every single day, where I have to stop, think, what am I missing? What do I not really understand here? And you know, there's a myth around leadership, if you ask me. And the myth is that you need to know everything. You have to be an expert in everything. That that is just a lie. It really is. The art of good leadership is to surround yourself with amazing people. That, to me, is the art of good leadership. And the other uh, critical part of being a good leader is to know, be conscious of the things that you're not good at. Be conscious of the things that are your weaknesses or your blind spots, and be open to have other people actually fill those gaps with their voices, with their intellect, with their capability. And um, you know, in the context of you know, seek first to understand, that to me is like very much at its core, you know. And so yeah, it is. It's, to me, it's a really important um, value, and one that I think that I know consciously I have to work on, and I think, quite frankly, we should all work on a lot more. Um, Not just in TTEC, not just in our day to day, but also in our lives generally, because I think certainly as I get older and continue to lose hair, I think that the world has become um, a more a crueler, if that's possible, place, a less kind place. And I think we could all just do with taking a little bit of time out on occasions, and just, you know, pausing for thought, and actually seeking to understand more.
Yeah, I should have positioned this as a master class in leadership. I didn't know Mark, but this is so great, and I hope everybody had a chance to take some notes on what Mark just shared. And I couldn't help but think, as you were talking, that the world is so fast paced. Everything is coming at us so quickly, and so that pause and reflection that you're recommending to all of us will only also help to calm our nervous system and help us get really in the right state where we can do better decision making as well. So thank you for that reminder to help us pause. Jamalia is here today and said that she finds learning and being curious about a topic helps you explore a topic further than your own opinion and understanding. Seek to understand helps you lay a solid foundation of respect and building rapport. Really well said. Thank you for sharing that. Abby Reeves is joining us today. She is from the US and a proud member of our TTEC Minds ERG. So happy to have Mark as an executive sponsor. And Mark, when I shared earlier that I learned a lot through TTEC Minds, Abby has definitely been a big reason for that, and all the volunteers that have helped to really shape this community here at TTEC. Big shout out to each of you. Dora also shares it's a privilege to have such an amazing leader here at at TTEC. So also just wanted to go real quick over to the audience who I think they like sharing today. So we're going to put a question over to you all. What do you think? How do you think diverse thinking benefits teams? So we'd love to hear your perspective as we share along with Mark's perspective here during today's conversation. So we're almost at the end of our time here together of our unspoken master class that we're having with Mark. So here Mark is maybe asking for a friend. What are some of the strategies or approaches that you think people of the neurodiverse community can use to strengthen themselves and achieve their own goals?
Well, from my point of view, I think first of all, don't allow fear to sort of hold you back. Um, I think there's a book I read in my 30s, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Really good book, by the way. Um, but I don't allow fear to hold you back. I think there are lots of resources available today that perhaps weren't in years gone by. So leverage all the resources that you can, but seek out, dare I say it, an ally within the organization. I think that's a really important strategy with all of this. And I think there's enough of us that are allies that are more than willing to lean in and support. Um, if you've got work colleagues or managers that are, dare I say it, not living up to the standards and values that TTEC has, then reach out to an ally, but certainly don't be scared to reach out to our P&C team. That's what I would suggest. But quite frankly, I think first and foremost, don't be scared to be who you are. Thinking, I think that's if there's one thing that sort of resonates with me, be proud and be fearless. That's how I would recommend.
Thank you. Another book, everyone, in the to write down and revisit if you haven't had a chance yet. Susie, just to go back to our question a little earlier, says, if in a safe environment we generate creative solutions because we generally don't have a box to think outside of, we get to the creative solution a lot quicker than most. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Susie is a really big part of TTEC Minds, and we appreciate you joining us for this conversation today. Lena says, when team members feel their unique perspectives are valued, they're more likely to be engaged and motivated. And Oscar says it leads to better decision-making and stronger collaboration. Aika says, thank you, Mark, for sharing your experience. I'm truly grateful to be part of TTEC and have the incredible advantage of TTEC Minds. I know Aika, and I know she means every heartfelt word of that, Mark, as well, as it's definitely important to her as well. So as we wrap up today, and this is actually it's directly related to our conversation, and how do you see, what do you think is like the most successful trait that we need in today's dynamic, maybe less than kind world to be successful?
I think there's a couple of things. I'd say perseverance is without a doubt one of the key attributes, and some patience, frankly. You touched on it earlier. I think everybody wants to get from 0 to 60 like in 2 seconds. That's just not how it is. My literally who I am today is very much based on the journey I've been on for all of the years I've been on this planet. And I've had some rough periods, quite honestly, and I've learned a lot along the way. And I do think that it takes time, certainly for some of us, to mature and develop a more balanced approach. There are things that I did as a young leader in my 20s that, when I think back, I think, oh my God, what was I doing? Um, um, but I've learned, and I tried to avoid making the same mistake twice. I think that's a really important characteristic, quite honestly. You know, somebody that hasn't failed hasn't tried. Say that. So I think not being scared of failure, not allowing that fear to hold you back, being um, having the strength to persevere, and having some patience, um, and belief, self-belief that the journey that you're on will take you where it's supposed to. Um, that's, I don't want to sound too zen-like or philosophical, but honestly, I believe that that's been my experience, and I'm certainly very grateful for the experience that I've had. Um, and I think one final thing in that regard: don't compare yourself to anybody else. Envy is such a toxic um, um, a part of our existence today. Yeah, I think as much as anything, just be the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, and you'll get wherever you're supposed to go.
Yeah. So many things you just said there are just so foundational and sound easy to do, and they're hard within all of that. Like I was just thinking about when we were talking earlier about growth mindset. And I was listening to a podcast after our conversation, Mark, with Carol Dweck,
Mm.
and who is a professor and talks a lot about mindset and the importance of discussing failure and discussing those things. And it's in how did you overcome that? How did you persevere? How are you resilient? And that it's okay. What's the phrase? Fail 7 times, get up 8, something like that. I'm sure I butchered that, but get knocked down 7 times, get up the 8th time. So many
Right.
things that you just shared, I think, are very much resonating in the chat. Gloria says, someone who hasn't failed hasn't tried. And Susie says, if you can be anything in this world, be kind. And also just a quick shout out to Goldana joining us from Warsaw, Poland as well. Mark, you've given us so much to think about today, and we appreciate it. Again, your emotional journey is something that everyone can probably relate to in a different way. So thank you for being vulnerable with us today, providing us with some advice and some tools, some books, and some quotes that we can reference later. And we appreciate all that the TTEC Minds core team and everybody who's a part of that community does to help make the fabric and the tapestry of our global company here at TTEC that much better. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very, very much.
Pleasure, and thank you so much for having me. Thanks for everybody that joined. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. If you would like to learn more about becoming a part of TTEC, we've got some jobs for you. Before I jump over to that, though, I do want to say if you are a part of TTEC, head to Mosaic and check out the employee resource group section that we have on Mosaic. And head over to TTEC Minds if you'd like to learn more about this community as well. I'm sure they'd love to have you. So I chose this job today because this is in my hometown, and we love to give support to our recruitment team. So we are looking for a recruiter to do some amazing talent attraction and acquisition out of our Hayden Ferry office. So if you are located here in Tempe, this hybrid role could be for you. So take a look. It'll be dropped in this LinkedIn chat, and we'd love to have you join our team and help us create more innovative, open-minded teams. We also have in the United States, and we have jobs around the world. So these are just a couple of the amazing jobs that we have. It is for a licensed casualty and property and casualty, insurance agent. So if you are currently licensed, we have some great opportunities for you on site with our Concord team out of North Carolina. So please check out that job for more details. not in the United States or in these particular markets, that's okay. You can head to TTEC Jobs. We encourage you to join our talent community, take a tour around, and see what makes TTEC unique for your next career. Love to go back to the chat just for a quick second. Say hi to Gloria, who joined us from Nigeria. Again, I love the global nature of this conversation. And Oscar definitely gives another shout out to Mark. Jamalia says, reflecting on your journey as a leader is key to embracing your full potential. Thank you for sharing. I think we'll leave on that note today as we continue our celebration of Neurodiversity Month. Head to TTEC socials. You'll see a podcast. We'll have a live coming your way. And if you're part of TTEC, head over to Mosaic and learn about our employee resource groups as well. Thank you to our producer, Dora, for helping to make this a great show, to Mark for taking time out of his day and sharing his journey and his insights. I know I'm better for it. So thank you all. We'll see you back in 2 weeks. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world.